Welcome to the Diverse Millenial Podcast. Today's episode number 2. This is my life. I hope you guys enjoy this. Like, comment, subscribe below, and stay tuned for a great episode. Welcome to the Diverse Millenial Podcast. Welcome back to the Diverse Millenial Podcast. So first off, I want to give you guys a rundown of our plan for this podcast. So the podcast is going to consist of solo rants, basically, because that's what they are these days right here, where I'm feeling the most energy and I can give it out directly to you guys. But on the contrary, there will also be days where I will be interviewing other people to give you guys more knowledge that I don't have, because I can only give you what I have. And I'm trying to get more, of course, but I can only give you what I have at the moment. So if I can bring other people on, I can share experiences and thoughts and ideas and basically expand the thinking of other people and how they got to where they are and how successful they are. The other thing we're going to be doing here is also kind of like a news commentary. The past couple of weeks have been really tough on the American culture and the way we perceive things, the way we think of things, and the people we love. There's been a lot going on here, and we definitely want to show you guys that we are gonna rise up from this. We are not gonna let this bring us down. So I will definitely be covering news and other stuff that I find interesting and giving you guys a little bit of taste on my opinion on those subjects. I am no expert. I will always say that, because I will always keep learning. I will always keep expanding my thinking. I try my best to bring you guys the most direct and accurate information. I will sometimes make mistakes, just like everybody else does. We are building this podcast from the ground up, so don't expect it to be perfect, just expect it to be real, because that's what it is. Another thing that we're gonna be doing is the weekly and monthly takeaways, depending on how often we do these episodes, to give you guys a real rundown of what I'm learning on my weeks and on my months, because a lot goes on into running a business, into chasing after your dreams, when you don't stop, when every day is a day, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, whatever day we're here doing it, whatever we can do to get a step closer to our dreams, and that's how you achieve them. So I'm going to be giving you guys a rundown of my monthly and weekly takeaways, tips, best practices or best mistakes that I made that you can learn from, because the most wise people learn from other mistakes. Normal people like me, like you, we learn from our own mistakes. But the wise, they learn from someone else's mistake, just from watching what someone else is doing and applying it into their own life, so they can skip over that mistake and get right to what's good, because that's what's good. So my monthly takeaway, thinking about it here, in the month of March, a lot happened, but one of the things that I can say that I significantly took from it the most was not depending on other people. For sure. Because we all depend on other people to do something. To do some part of our lives, we need other people to accomplish it. Whether you run a business and you need employees, or you run a family and you need your wife, or you need the other person in your life to help you run that family. So you will always need other people. So just not being dependent on people, not expecting them to do stuff for you, that is great. Not expecting anything to change because any certain person is in your life or not in your life. Just expect the same thing from yourself, which is absolute greatness, absolute 100% of your effort every single time. Not less, not more, if you don't want. If you want more, then do more. But if you don't want it, then give at least 100%. That's the least you could do. Give 100%. Whether you got someone else in play or not, whether someone else is in your life helping you, whether you, for example, whether you're doing something by yourself or with others. I can give a prime example of this right here. I used to go to the gym a significant amount. I don't as much anymore at this time in my life, but I used to a lot. And when I did go a lot, when I was going 5, 6, 7 days a week, they were all solo. Every once in a while, someone would tag on with me, but I had the energy. I brought it to the table. I was the one carrying the boat. And that's what made all the difference in that journey that I had, that fitness journey specifically, was that I was carrying the boat. I was bringing myself along. And that ended up having other people jump on my bandwagon just to get that ride. But I was the one in charge. I was the one who was making all the moves. I was the one learning. I was the one trying to teach myself how to exercise properly, how to take care of my body properly, how to eat properly, how to do the exercise with the right position, the right format. That's the difference. Because when someone else is helping you out, you tend to rely on them before you rely on yourself. And you can't. You have to rely on yourself. That's the only person you can rely on. Because at the end of the day, that's who's going to get it for you. If anything gets handed down to you, I guarantee you it will not feel as good. It will not. But if you earn it yourself, if you chase after it and you can get it, because some of us chase it, but we don't never get it. Like, I'm in a position right now that people might spend their whole life trying to get to, and they won't. And I might spend my whole life trying to get somewhere else, and I won't. But we all have our journeys because of that. That's why I don't look at other people's journeys. I look at my own first. So that gives you guys a rundown of how things are going with the podcast, how we are trying to structure this so it can benefit me and you guys' lives impactfully. Because if I'm not benefiting myself from doing something, if I'm not feeling good about it, if I don't have good energy from it, if it's not adding on to my life energy, then it's taking away. I have always said that to you guys. If you're not adding to something, you're taking away. If your relationship isn't growing together, it's growing apart. It's always going to be like that. Because things are not stagnant. The world is moving around you. Even if you're not moving yourself, even if you're laying in your bed, the world is moving around you. So things are changing, whether you're changing or not. So change for the better, because that will impact your future. And speaking of future, I want to talk about my future and my past today. I want to explain to you guys how I got to where I am. I think that's important. And we're going to get right into it right now. So to start my story, it all began 24 years ago. I was born in Brazil in a small town with many farmers. This small town was very poor. Just to give you guys an idea, till this day, they don't even have ACs there in the house, and it's excruciatingly hot. And I'll tell you, in this small town, I was born along with my brother. And my mom and my dad raised us, especially my brother, not me so much, for the first couple of years before we came to America. See, I don't have much recollection because I was very young, but I know where it is. I've been there. I've gone back to where I'm from. I've looked into seeing what I was, what the people around me were, who those people were and how they acted, and what drives me the way it drives today. For you to really understand that, sometimes it's good to come back to where you started, even when you didn't even know that you had started yet. But I think that's important. So I went back and I learned more. And I found things about myself. I learned things about myself. I learned things about my family that made a difference. That made me better. That made me who I am today. But in that small town, at about 4 or 5 years old, I came here to America. At first, life here wasn't very easy for my parents. They sacrificed a lot. You see these immigrant families that come here, they're sacrificing a lot more than you guys can imagine. Sometimes they're sacrificing their whole lives. And by that, I mean not going back when your mom is dying, when your dad is dying, when your aunts, uncles, and grandparents are dying, and you are far away. Now we can see them through FaceTime, but a couple years ago when we first got here, no one even had a phone. So life was very different. So I'm young, along with other people who are young listening to this. Remember, life was very different at one point. So be grateful for what you have today, the tools that you have access to. We always complain about our tools. We want more, but it's irrelevant. use what you have and you will get more. So from that, I went to school here, learned both languages, and pretty much was raised here with this American culture. But I got a really unique perspective because I've been able to go back. I've had strong Brazilian roots in my home, so I have a strong culture along with the American culture that I have naturally mixed in me. So this unique perspective gives me a platform to speak to other people of both cultures, because I see both cultures making the same mistakes. Sometimes Brazilians talk bad about Brazilians. Sometimes whites talk bad about whites. Blacks, Latinos talk bad about themselves. It's a little bit of hate that we have for our own kind, when it shouldn't be like that. We should embrace each other a lot more. Use each other to grow together instead of growing apart. So over the years, after going to school here and finishing high school here, I ended up going to college. Just like the majority of my friends, just like the majority of people in my life. My parents were telling me to do it, were asking me to do it. Other people around me were doing it. Their parents were asking them to do it. It felt like the right thing. So I did it. Fast forward a couple years, and I'm 24 years old. I own a business now. My life has changed a lot in the past 4 or 5 years because of decisions I made 4 or 5 years ago. And hopefully it will change a lot 4 or 5 years from now because of the decisions I'm making today. With that being said, 24 years old, I own a company. I do stuff online. I make videos. I chase after the stuff I want. I own a nice car. I own a nice bike. I've been able to get almost everything I've wanted up to this point just by working hard. Me and other people. Because here's the thing. Being an observer puts you ahead of a lot of people. A lot of people. Because one thing we don't see sometimes is what's right in front of us. And if you're an observer, you're always observing what's in front of you. And I have observed the lives of my friends, of other people around me, other people I grew up with, people who weren't friendly to me, who now are, or people who were my friends who now aren't. We all made mistakes, but I observed every single moment, every single second. And that helped me understand why some people are in the positions they are right now, just like why I am in mine. And other people sometimes don't understand it because they don't know me. But I had to give up a lot to get here, and I'm willing to give up a lot more. So that's my story. I want you guys to understand a 5-year plan is by far one of the biggest things that has helped me. A 5-year plan, guys, is one of the biggest things that will impact your life. It really is. I'm telling you 100%. If you make a 5-year plan and you stick to it, you can change your life. Literally. That's how you change it. Make a 5-year plan and stick to it. That's why Gary Vee is always throwing up the 5. It's a sign. A 5-year plan will change your life, and it changed mine. And here is how it changed mine. So this is how my 5-year plan came into play. 5 years ago, I moved away to try a job with some friends, and it didn't really work out. When I came back from that, I came back with a different mindset. I said, I am so hungry for this and so money hungry that I am not going to get there if I continue to do what I'm doing, because it hasn't gotten me anywhere in the past 2 or 3 years. So I decided to be patient at first to then grow later on. And that took a lot more sacrifices than I understood at the time. So I came back, and after being part of my dad's company, my brother's company, for multiple years, when I was younger, helping out whenever I could in the summer, and as soon as I got out of high school, I even worked with them for a little bit, for a year or in a little bit, a year and a half maybe. But I wasn't with the same mindset that I was 5 years ago. I wasn't with that mindset of kill or be killed. That was the mindset. It was, I need this. This is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. I figured my brother was doing really well for himself, and I said, I've always known this. The people around you, those are the people that will affect you the most. Those are the people who are going to shape who you're gonna be. So I started getting myself around better people, people who were doing better, who had different ideas, different thoughts, different ways of life, different schedules. And one of those people, the main person, was my brother. And I tried to learn as much as I could, like a sponge, just suck up everything that I could learn from someone who is doing well. What ended up happening was 1 or 2 years of straight stress. I started working a lot more than I had ever worked before, which meant we usually came in at 6 or 7 a.m. and left whenever things were done. That's what I put in my head. I said, I don't want the money right now, and I'm not gonna get it because that's not what was worked. Putting in the work before the money was always what my family preached, so that's the way I was gonna go about it. So I worked. I tried to do everything I could. I tried to stay as late as possible. I tried to arrive as early as possible, be the person helping, be the person who is always there offering a hand. And don't get me wrong, a lot of stuff went right, a lot of stuff was accomplished, but a lot of mistakes were made. A lot. Ton. Tears were shed. There were days where I didn't want to do it, where I was like, this is not what I want. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have came back to this. But what did I do? I didn't give up. That's the main priority, the main point here. I did not give up. By not giving up and by continuing to pursue it every single day, things just got easier and easier. A little bit easier, and then a little bit easier. And then I'd have a couple hard days that were really bad, and everything was kicking in, the anxiety, everything. And then some sunny days would come back around. And that's what I started noticing. Some people tell me, Wallaf, my days, my weeks, they're so good. And then as soon as I start going out, or as soon as I start enjoying my life, as soon as I go to dinner too much, something bad starts happening. I said, bro, don't play yourself. Nothing bad is happening to your weeks. What's actually happening is life. Life doesn't just allow you to win. Things aren't always looking up. It's a roller coaster. It goes up and down. No matter if you go out, if you drink, whatever you do, your life is not going to be better or worse because of that unless you allow it to. Whatever's happening out here is irrelevant to what's happening in here. What's happening in here is way more important. It's what's actually keeping everything out here, even though it's a chaos, you're still good. Because of that, because you have kept the right mindset, because you have pursued the right way of thinking, that will make all the difference. That will change your mind. So by consuming the right way of thinking, the right way of doing, the right way of scheduling, the right way of working, I was able to implement it into my own life. And at first, nothing was coming back from it. Until it did. Until I wasn't expecting it anymore, and I still kept doing, and things started coming. But they didn't come all at once either. Till this day, it's a struggle. It's a day-to-day struggle. A business is like a ship with holes. You have to keep it afloat. You have to keep patching stuff and keep going. And sometimes you'll get hurt in the process. But you have to keep going. No matter what. You have to keep the ship afloat. No matter what. Throw the water out. Do what you have to do. Throw some people out. Get some people back in. But the ship goes on. You keep sailing. The next thing I want to touch on is the importance of sharing. See, I didn't fully share this vision with the people I was doing it with at first, but I slowly started to bring it into play, and people slowly started understanding it better. Sometimes you say something to someone and it's too soon, you know? You don't give them a chance to really believe in you because you haven't put in the work yet. It's that same thought we have with our parents. Oh, I want my parents to believe in me. I want them to follow me. I want them to support me with my dreams if they don't. Because most don't. But why do you want that if you haven't put in the work yet? See, your mind is just playing games with you. It's making you think backwards. You have to put in the work first to then get the results. Not get the results first. It doesn't work like that. Because in real life, it doesn't work like that. It works the other way around. So sometimes if you have a bad way of thinking, just like I do, sometimes I just try to reverse that. I try to think the complete opposite of what I normally would think. And that sometimes gives me a different perspective. And now with 2 or 3 perspectives, I can have a better overall opinion of the situation and how to solve it. Because everything is about solving. The more problems you can solve, the more pressure you can handle, the more stress, the better you will get paid, the better job you will have, the more people will want to be around you. Because you're bringing that problem-solving solution energy, not the problem-causing energy, the abundance energy, the abundance mindset, not the scarcity one. Scarcity one we all have. It's all in the back of our heads. This is the rat race, right? That's the scarcity mindset. No, this is not the rat race. This is my race. This is my marathon. And the marathon continues. It does. Whether you like it or not. So you better get running. You better get running. Don't rely on other people, but share your story to the right people. Encourage other people. Understand your platform. Understand your life. Understand the position God put you in and why. Because that will make a difference in how you react and act to things. It will make a difference in how people perceive and see you. And it will make a difference in the impact you leave in the world. Even though it might not seem like it in the day. But let me tell you something. Let me give you a prime example. Have you ever seen an artist die and then his music goes off the charts? Because most of the time, people don't give something value until it's gone. So that's what causes that. But the person has value nonetheless. Otherwise, once they passed away, their music wouldn't have gone up. It just doesn't make sense. If the music wasn't good, why would anyone listen to it after he's gone? But it made you realize that the music was even better than you expected. And if you listened to it before, now you're going to listen to it more. And talking about deaths, now that we got into this, Nipsey Hussle passed away this week. RIP to him and all the condolences to his family. Because that was a real motivator. That was a real king. Someone who inspired others, who shared with others, who shared his vision with the people around him, who wanted to give back. He didn't believe that the people around him were stupid or dumb just because of where they lived or how they dressed or how much money they had. He believed in everyone just like he believed in himself. Because it starts with believing in yourself for you to believe in other people. If I don't even have a vision for myself, how am I supposed to have a vision for others? The clarity's not there. The glass is opaque. But when you see it for yourself, you can see it 10x for other people. And that's when things really start coming into play. Lately, I've been sharing with the right people and with the wrong people because I'm influencing the wrong people to change and adding to the right people so they can come back to me with even better energy after what I just gave them. That's exactly what's been happening. More correct people have been involving themselves in my life, so impacting other people is about impacting yourself. Impacting yourself is about impacting other people. Share what you have. You will add on. More people have been adding on to my life than ever before. I was never the type to have other people around so much and give them so much value. But now I am. Because I see so much good coming from it. Me putting so much positive into the world is bringing so much positive back to me. I believe in karma very strongly. And if you don't, it's because you've never had bad things happen to you for no reason. Because there's always a reason. And if you give life more reasons to come back at you, it's going to come back at you even harder. But if you give it more reasons to give you more positive, it's going to come back to you even more positive. What you get back is what you put out. Keep putting out good stuff, you're going to get back good stuff. The next point I want to touch on, guys, is another pressure I had a couple years ago that I mentioned earlier today. The pressures of college. And I want to get into this really quickly because this has been coming up a lot. And during another episode, I will get into more depth. But for now, let me just give you guys a glimpse. You don't need college. It's good. It's very good if you know what you're doing. But you don't need to ruin your life because of college. I don't know about the other parts of the world, but in America, college is very expensive. In Boston, for you to go to a couple colleges here, a couple of the good colleges, you're paying upwards of 40 grand a semester, 40, 50,000 a semester. It could take you hundreds of thousands to get a degree, upwards of 200 grand. Now, if you look at me, is it worth it to spend $200,000 on a degree? Try to take out a business loan for 20K. See if that will work. I bet you a bank won't give you a 20K loan, but a school will definitely put you 200K in debt, which is the same thing. You're getting a loan to further your mindset, to further your life, instead of getting a loan to open up a business which will further your life, further your credentials, the ability to make money, the ability to turn nothing into something. That's all college is doing. But I see too many people making the mistake of college or going and not having the right intentions. Like, college is a great place to meet people, to build your foundation, to build your connections, to build some lifelong friends. with the same motives as you, which are good, the same intents as you, which are great. It's not a place to hand you a diploma and a lifetime of success with that. It's not. The success is sold separately. It does not come with the diploma. Just like your grades, they're very good, but the job is sold separately. Just because you have an A doesn't mean you're going to get the best job. Someone with a C could know someone in the company and get a job over someone with an A. So don't be quick to jump into something that's going to push you way down. It's tough because if you take a year off, sometimes that can be damaging. Sometimes that can unmotivate you even more instead of riding that momentum. But let me tell you something. Don't put your foot in a shoe that's bigger than it fits. Make sure you're putting on the right size. Don't take a step bigger than you can handle. Because once you're 18, that's it. You're out to the world. Whether you make it or not, if you succeed or fail, it's all on you. And most of us will fail. We will all fail actually. But most of us will continue to fail and not succeed ever or at all. Or it might take 5, 10, 15 years. But if you persist, if you continue to try, if you don't give up on whatever you're trying to do, you will find success. To wrap up this podcast, thank you everyone for tuning in. So to wrap up this podcast, I'm going to talk about my failures to show you guys that I have failed many times. And this is only a glimpse of a couple of the things that I failed with. So one of the things I failed with was moving out. I tried to move out, get a job in a different state, work out my life by myself. A year and a little change later, came back home, empty-handed. Not a fun experience. You come back home, you don't want to. You don't want to look at everybody's faces. But I did it. You have to have some pride in yourself and know the good pride, not the bad pride, that you failed, but that you're willing to try again to succeed. Because that's all you can do. Other than that, I dropped out of college, which at the time was a big failure. I was letting my parents down. I was letting other people down around me. People who thought I could succeed and who thought that was the answer. But in my head, it wasn't. It didn't feel right. It didn't look right. And I wasn't doing it right. So I didn't want to do it. And that's the path I chose. And I'm happy I chose that. Because I can always go back to college, but I can't go back in time. And I made a decision based on that time and based on a 5-year plan to change my life. And that's what I did. Another thing I failed in that was horrible was a car crash when I was 18 years old. I crashed inside a tunnel and it was by far the scariest experience I had had up until that time. Another huge failure, almost died. I didn't sleep that night. Straight facts. I didn't sleep that night. Just thinking about all the mistakes and how big that one had been. But the fact that I had still been able to get out and look at it, actually realize what I had made a mistake on and promise to myself to never make that mistake again or to be 10 times more cautious every time so I wouldn't make it again. It was a scary experience and I will never forget it. The last thing that I have failed at a lot, which has been the most successful part of my life as of right now, is running a business. Running a business for the first 2 years was completely stressful, excruciating. When you think that other people depend on you because they do, it is crazy. You have to get it right. There's no room for mistakes. And guess what? You're still gonna make mistakes because mistakes are inevitable. They're inevitable. You're gonna make them no matter what, but you have to learn as quickly as possible and you have to continue as quickly as possible. So just to give you guys an idea that I've failed so many times, guys. I am just like any one of you. I am failing today. I failed yesterday. I'm gonna fail tomorrow. But the difference is I'm gonna look up, and get going again and again and again. And I will not give up. I refuse to. And that's what's gonna make the change in my life. That's what's gonna make the change in your life. Refuse to give up and you will succeed. At some point, you will break through. Just keep punching, keep going at it, keep hitting that bag. It will break before you do if you don't break. So don't break. That's it. Reach out if you guys need anything. But that wraps up the second episode. I am completely excited for this. I felt way better this time around than the last time, and I know I will feel better the next time and deliver even more content, more bombs, more greatness for you guys. That is the point of this, to help you guys and to help myself elevate each other, elevate our lives, elevate our family, our friends, everyone who's around us. They deserve to be elevated and you deserve to elevate them. You deserve to be the person who elevates them. You can be. You just have to start acting and reacting to less. Acting like the person you want to be, the person you've always dreamed of. And reacting less to the person you don't want to be. Make mistakes, but learn from them. Have wins, but don't let it get to your head. Don't let the win be too much. I could lose everything tomorrow, and I'd still be good, because I have my health wealth. That's it. Your health is your wealth. So if you have that, you're good, man. Like and subscribe below. Do whatever you gotta do. Comment what you gotta comment. Give me your opinion, as solid as can be. Just like slime. Give it to me. I'll mold around it. I'll warp around it and swallow it up with the greatness, with the energy, the positive energy that I have spread into the world, and I will spread into your life if you spread it out to the world also. Let's make change. Let's be change. It's time to grow up for all of us. It's not about your age. It's about your mindset. And once your mindset changes, the rest will follow. Live every day like it's your last, because it could be. Guys, I just filmed another video for the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna be posting it on my channel. Stay tuned for a lot of good updates. I'm excited, man. This is gonna be great. I hope you guys enjoy it. Boom.